actually use those punnett squares and like what they mean. So there's going to be a little bit of a review on what some of the words mean, our vocab from yesterday. So we have a little story here on number 5. Why won't this zoom in for me? Can I zoom in now? Oh, yep. All right. So one of SpongeBob's cousins, Sponge Billy Bob, recently met a cute SquarePants girl named Sponge Gertie. So we know that her phenotype, her characteristics, she has a square body. And we're going to use our knowledge or what we learned yesterday to answer the question. So Sponge Gertie is her father, I'm sorry. Dad is heterozygous SquarePants. What does hetero mean again? Is it 2 of the same or 2 different? Perfect. So it's 2 different letters. So we're going to go back up to table 1. And what letter is he going to have? What letter in the alphabet? Yeah. So we're going to use A's, and since it's heterozygous, one of each, it's a capital and a lowercase. So that was the question because I know this worksheet, but it says Sponge Billy Bob is heterozygous. So we just found out that he is a capital A and a lowercase a. Because hetero means one of each. So you can fill that in. It's under 5, letter B. Oh, I just want to read the rest. I'll scroll down again. No, not yet. Okay, so we got the dad, and then it says the mom is round. So we need to find out her letters. Her phenotype is round. So if she's round, what kind of letter combination does she have? 2 little a's. Because it's the recessive gene, there's no uppercase A, so it has to have 2 little a's or lowercase a's. All right, so those are the parents. When we have a punnett square, this is a drawing again, so just like how we've done in the notes and in your labs, you have to double click so that it opens as a drawing. And I mean, you can write the letters, but I just type them. So what we do is we put the parents on the outside of the square. It doesn't matter if the mom's genotypes go on the top part of the square or the dad's genotypes go on the top part of the square. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to write the dad's on the top part, and we figured out he was heterozygous. So we need a capital A. And then I just put a bunch of spaces, and I do a little a. You might need to make a text box. So grab the text box. And I space them out so that the first allele or letter is over like these 2 squares, and then the second allele or letter is over the other 2 squares. And then grab one more text box, and we're putting it on the side, the outside of the square. And if it does that, you just have to like make it smaller, like that. And we found out that the mom was homozygous recessive, so 2 little a's. If it automatically capitalizes, just push the backspace button and it'll go back down to a little a. So again, make sure that they're kind of separated. What? Okay, I was like, what just happened? Just make sure that they're separated so that one's on the top half and one's on the bottom half. Okay, so then how we like complete this puzzle or the punnett square is we're going to take the top A, or I always go with the capital letters because we always want to write those ones first. So I'm going to take this capital letter, and what we do with the top letters is you bring them down. So this A is going to go down to this box and this box underneath it. And then this little a goes to this box underneath it and this box underneath it. Kind of like, I don't know, a Sudoku, but not really. Oh, sorry, that's supposed to be capital. You don't have to do any math, I guess, or counting. Problems. Okay, so I just brought this capital A down to both boxes and the little a down to both boxes underneath. And then you're going to do the same but across. So there's no capital letters on the left-hand side of our box. So all the rest we're going to fill in with a little a. So this little a gets brought across to the top two boxes. Little a. Little a. And then this lowercase a gets brought across to the bottom two boxes. So it's just like filling in a crossword, but you're just copying letters. Right? I'm terrible at crosswords. So when you're done filling it out, just save and close, and I'll make sure you can see it. It should look like that. And then we're going to use the square to answer the question. So it says, what are Sponge Gertie's possible genotypes? And we know from up here, I'll go back down, that she is square pants. And square was the dominant gene. So what is her possible letter combinations based on this box? What does she have to be to get a square, a dominant gene? What letters? What kids in this box would have a square pants, a dominant gene? Are you saying one of each? Yes. Okay, I just couldn't hear you. So by having an uppercase and a lowercase, you would get a square body. So that's what she has to have. Because we put her parents on the outside of the Punnett square, and this is the only options that they could give to their offspring. So she has to be uppercase, lowercase. That's what our Punnett square tells us. So the job of Punnett squares is to like figure out what possible combinations the kids could have, what possible traits they could have. Is there any questions on A and B or the first square? Remote, are you with me? Go with yes. All right, we're going to go down to C. So now we're going to complete our second Punnett square to show the possibilities that would result if Sponge Billy Bob and Sponge Gertie, who are both heterozygous, what does that mean again? What kind of letters? Yeah, the different ones. So one of each letter had babies. So the parents are heterozygous. So double click on your Punnett square again. And remember, the parents go on the outside. And the parents have the same letter, like same combination, which is one uppercase. Whoa, why is that over there? And one lowercase. The only rule that Punnett squares have is we want to write the capital letter first. That's pretty much the only rule that you need to know about. The second square, yeah. And then personally, I just always start with the top, but if you want to start with the ones on the side and bring those across, that's fine too. It doesn't matter how you start it, as long as you bring each letter to the box it needs. So I start, like I said, with the top one. So I'm going to bring the capital A down first. And then I bring my lowercase a underneath it down. And then I move to the next one. So I go to the side second. So this capital A gets brought across. Like I said, the only rule is that capital A's get written first. So just put it before the little a. So that's what it should look like. And then we have to answer letter D. So our first job is when it asks for genotypes, we just list out what the possible children letters could be. Remember, genotypes is the code. It's just the letters or the allele combinations that the babies or the offspring could have. So all of the options would be 2 uppercase A's. So we see that in the first square. Our second option would be 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase. And that's in 2 boxes, but you only have to write it once because otherwise you're just saying the same thing twice. It'd be like putting the. You don't need to write it twice. You just need it once. And then our last square is 2 small A's. Sorry. So those are the possible genotypes that their babies could have. When we move on to phenotypes, remember that's physical trait, physical characteristic. So it's like cracking the code. What do these A's stand for? So it's either a round body, which is recessive, or a square body that's dominant. And I got that from the table up here. So what are the 2 options that the babies could look like? What do the A's, capital A's mean? Okay, so they could have a square body, and what's the other option? Round, yeah. Circle, whatever. So they have 2 options. And then we have to do some probability. So what are the chances of an offspring or one of their children to having square pants? So a capital A. How many boxes out of 4 have a capital A in them? Yeah. So 3 out of 4 boxes would have the dominant trait. And what percentage is that? Or how many if you had 3/4? What? Awesome. If you had 3/4, you would have 75 cents. And what would be the probability of having a round pant child? Yep. Yes, children. 25%. So if you're starting to understand this, you can go on to the next one. I will do it with you guys. So those of you that still want to practice a little bit more, we'll do the next one. But if you're starting to understand, you can start moving ahead. All right, so we have SpongeBob's aunt and uncle, Sponge Wilhelmina and Sponge Wilbur, have very round eyes in the family. So Sponge Wilhelmina is believed to be heterozygous for round eyes. So we just need to know the letter for eyes. So we go back to table 1. Eyes get R's. And if she's heterozygous, what kind of letter combination does she have? Yeah, so uppercase R and lowercase r. For Wilhelmina, because it says Wilhelmina is heterozygous, so we get uppercase big, little. So this means that we also know that round eyes are dominant because there is an uppercase letter and he has round eyes. So, or she, excuse me. Then Sponge Wilbur's family brags that they're purebred. Does anybody remember what purebred means? What kind of letters? Yeah, so purebred means they get 2 of the same. It could be 2 uppercase or 2 lowercase, but it's 2 matching letters. But he also has round eyes because it says they all have the biggest round eyes. So what kind of letters would he get? Yeah, 2 uppercase R's because he's purebred, so 2 of the same. And we know that round is dominant. So now that we know the parents, we're just putting these alleles or these genotypes, remember, on the outside of the square. So double click. Like I said, it doesn't matter if the mom or the dad goes on the top or the bottom, the side, whatever, as long as they're separated and you have both. So I'm just going to set it up for you guys. You guys should be able to bring it down and bring it over. And then once you fill in the middle part, the genotypes, remember, we just list the combinations. And there should only be 2 combinations, 2 options for them to have for the genotype letters. Yeah, so the only option that they're going to have is round eyes. Because if you look, there's always going to be a capital R in every single square if you did this. So what are the chances of oval eyes? Can they have any kids with oval? So you would just have 0 out of 4 or 0%. And then obviously all of them have round eyes because that was our characteristic. So 4 out of 4, 100. This one? Oh, you just write the letters in the boxes. I just didn't do that because I figured you guys did this part. So SpongeBob's mom is super proud of her son and his new wife, Sponge Susie, as they are expecting a little baby Sponge. And SpongeBob's mom is hoping that the baby will be blue, which is a recessive trait. So it's going to get the little letters. Let's just go see what letters they get first. So the colors are E. So it's going to get 2 little E's if it's going to be blue because it's the recessive trait. All right, there we go. So she wants it to be blue, like Sponge Susie and many members of the family. If SpongeBob is heterozygous for yellow, so 1 of each, what are the chances that the baby will be blue? Sorry, I just have to read this one more time. Oh, sorry, Sponge Susie is blue, so it says that right there. My bad. All right, so we know that Sponge Susie, the mom, has to be recessive, so 2 little E's. So again, I don't care where you write the 2 little E's, if it's on the top or the side. Oops. And then it said that SpongeBob was heterozygous, so 1 of each. I want you guys to try this one on your own. If you have a question, obviously I'll help you out, but I set it up for you. Okay, so the last one is about their noses. So SpongeBob's aunt has a small or stubby nose, so let's just go look at what that is right away. And a stubby nose is recessive, so she has to have 2 small G's. We know that automatically because in order to have the stubby nose, you have to have 2 little G's. So she has 2 small G's. If SpongeBob's aunt wants to have babies with long noses, so the dominant trait, what type of guy or gentleman would she need to marry in order to get the best chances of having the long nose? So does she need to meet a homozygous recessive man, a homozygous dominant man, or a heterozygous man? So if you want, well, we're going to create the 3 Punnett squares. So her options would be a homozygous dominant, that would be 2 uppercase. And for each Punnett square, wherever you put the aunt, she's going to have 2 lowercase. Did I say H's or G's? It's supposed to be a G. Thank you. I just don't remember my letters. Oops. All right, the other option was a heterozygous male. So 1 of each. And then the last option was also chose two small g's. So we're just trying to figure out what her best option is for getting the kids that she wants with all the long noses. All right, so you should set it up like that. And then that's the only question. You just have to figure out which one would give the most or the best probability of having a long shaped nose. Oh, I can stop recording now. Yay.